Right.
Alright, so a few more questions. We'll start with, what is the worst essay you've ever worked with? I think for us, it's not necessarily the essay. We don't have a problem with any type of writing or any person's writing. It might be a person's attitude and how they interact with us while we're trying to tutor.
So my least favorite attitude or disposition, I guess, that a student can have when they're at the Writing Center is if they just give off this vibe that they really don't want to be here. I think sometimes professors don't, there are like 800 professors at this school, and so they don't all understand the Writing Center really well. So they'll just, if they see a lot of typos in a student's paper, they'll say, oh, go to the Writing Center, and that student may or may not really want to be here. And that's not to say that any time a professor sends someone that they don't have a good experience, but sometimes you just get the sense that that student is having a bad day and they just would rather not be here, and that's always a challenge for us.
Right, so that kind of leads into the next question. What should I do if a mean kid comes in for help? They're not a student isn't necessarily being mean. They might just not know how to react in this type of situation, because taking your paper or something that you've written to have someone else read it, that is a huge step, and it's really commendable, but people get nervous, so they don't know how to act in that situation at all.
Lots of students at our Writing Center will come in and they'll pull out their phones and they'll sit there and text, sometimes when they're waiting, which is totally fine, but then when the tutor comes up and we say, hi, how you doing, they'll still have their phone out. And I used to be annoyed by that, but then another tutor told me pretty recently that that's a feeling of safety and a feeling of comfort for some students. Someone is about to come and sit down at their table in their space, and they think that that person's just going to tell them all these things wrong with their paper, and that's kind of uncomfortable for them, so they pull out the phone, and it's a way of just feeling a little bit better about themselves. So when a student's on a phone or they just seem really distracted, I just always try to be very kind, very approachable. I remind them that I'm not going to bash their paper. It has nothing to do with them as a person. We're just going to try to make your paper a little bit better, and usually that solves it.
Right, and like Emily said, it's all about being nice. If you are nice and you're smiling and you're giving them compliments, they're eventually going to open up and want to work with you, and they'll relax a little bit, and they won't seem as mean or standoffish.
Okay, and then the last question was, what if you see a paper that you can't find anything wrong with? Which is an awesome question.
Yes.
Yeah. Because tutors, I think, of any level, even at the university level, we sometimes are looking for things that are wrong. Like, we think that, if, oh, this comma is wrong, you have to fix it. And yeah, there are grammar rules, but it's really not about, it's not like math where there's a right and a wrong answer in writing. We tend to want students to write clearly and to have interesting or unusual or creative ideas. We want them to have a lot of good research in their papers, but it's really not about right or wrong. It's about what's better for that reader and what's better for the writer.
We like to remind people that writing is a process, so it's always about improving for the future. So some people will expect us to just make the corrections for them, but that's not what we do. We like to teach them how to avoid something or how to enhance their paper, so that in the future their writing is stronger and their writing is always getting stronger.
So don't look for things that are wrong in a paper, just look for ways that they could be even better, or things that you're really interested in. Like, if someone writes about something interesting and they don't really explain it too much more than what they have on the paper, tell them that. Say, this is really interesting, I'm fascinated by this, can you provide a little more information, I want to know more. So, yeah, you're allowed to compliment people in their writing. We're always like trying to zero in on what's wrong, but you can tell someone, I love this, this is awesome.
Yeah, it's always great to hear that you're doing well.
Alright, so those were all the questions you guys had. So in the next video we'll look at your comments, and then we'll have some questions for you guys too.